So this whole Graham Platner thing has really revealed the American so-called left, many of whom like to style themselves as anti-imperialist, to be little more than a bunch of like American nationalist, American supremacist chauvinists who see non-Americans as less than human, particularly the poor brown victims of American military invasions and genocides. I talked about this last week in regards to Hasan Piker, but since then there were some further developments that made this so much more obvious. Like, it came out that Graham Platner has a tattoo on his chest that is very clearly a Nazi SS Totenkopf. Blatantly fucking obvious. It was a Totenkopf. Right there, Nazi SS Totenkopf. This. Same thing, okay? So he got this tattoo. He said he got it when he was in the Marines, and he said he had no idea it was associated with the Nazis. He just had no clue. Oh my God. And the shocking thing about that is that so many left-wing anti-imperialists believed him. Ryan Grimm, Hasan Piker, KRYSTAL Ball, EMMA VIGELAND. These people are like prominent American anti-imperialist commentators, and they see a former Blackwater mercenary of 4 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan with a Nazi tattoo on his chest, and they are so willing to find some excuse for it. They treat this man, this 44-year-old man, or 41 or whatever it is, like he's a little baby who's not responsible for his actions, who has no idea what he's doing. Now, beyond that though, because that's bad, but I mean, there's way worse. The thing that's crazy about this is that what got them even talking about this guy's background wasn't the fact that he just openly talks about how proud he is and how much he enjoyed murdering Afghans and Iraqis during his time in the US military. It was this tattoo. For some of them, the line where they finally felt the need to speak up wasn't the fact that this guy is a proud mass murderer for the American empire. It was a tattoo. And that's even worse. Now, I just want to very quickly go over some stuff here that shows that he very much knew this was a Nazi tattoo. Though there should be no question as to whether he knew that. The man was a fucking adult, and he had this tattoo for almost 2 decades, according to the man himself. In his deleted old Reddit post, there is him participating directly in a discussion about the difference between a normal skull tattoo and a Totenkopf on Reddit. In this comment thread right here, just out of curiosity regarding this picture, how do you know they're SS? What gives them away? And someone says a Totenkopf on the dude first on the left is a good clue. And then Platner here responded to this discussion talking about how people had punished the skulls and such. And this was while he had already had this tattoo on his chest for 10 years at this point, according to his own timeline. This guy fucking knew what this was. He also has posts defending American military members with SS lightning bolt tattoos, which is an even more well-known symbol than a Totenkopf is. In a 2020 thread, when people described the Nazi lightning bolts as a racist symbol, Platner dismissed the criticism, writing that outsiders have no idea what they're talking about. He thought that the SS lightning bolt tattoo was just a culture marker within Marine Scout sniper units. That's what he argued. This guy knew that he had a Nazi tattoo. He got it because it was a Nazi tattoo. Worse than that, you know why he got it? Well, I'm going to show you something regarding his own words as to why he got it. Because it's related to what he did to Iraqis. Here's a video that this mass murderer uploaded to his own Twitter account, where he explains the meaning behind this tattoo. Now, he's lying here. It is a Nazi tattoo. But nonetheless, even if we take his explanation here at face value, it reveals just how depraved and disgusting and sadistic this mass murderer is.
In 2007, when I was a young infantry sergeant in the
2007, he was a young infantry sergeant. How old is he now? He's 41. He was 23 years old minimum at the time. Too young to understand what he was doing. He was just young.
Marine Corps. Myself and some machine gunners I served in Fallujah and Ramadi with.
He served in Fallujah and Ramadi. Understand
that. We're on our 3rd deployment. We were in a naval vessel and we pulled in for a Liberty port in Split, Croatia. We went ashore to do the thing that young Marines do, which tends to be carousing.
It's just a thing that you do that makes it okay.
Sometimes
you
getting
get Nazi
tattoos. We wanted to get something that represented our jobs, our service, fighting in Fallujah and Ramadi.
So he wanted to get a tattoo that represented his job, his service, fighting in Fallujah. Now, Fallujah, if you don't know, is one of the most infamous so-called battles of the American occupation and invasion of Iraq. The Americans killed upwards of 4,000 Iraqi civilians there. Many of them were murdered with chemical weapons, including children. Graham Platner wanted to get a tattoo commemorating what he did to the Iraqis there. And what he chose, even if we ignore the fact it was a Nazi skull, he chose a skull. This man considered himself a bringer of death and destruction to people he considered less than him. And he got it tattooed on his body so that he could remember it forever. That alone is worse than it just being a random Nazi. Imagine a neo-Nazi who hasn't killed anyone with a fucking Totenkopf tattoo. That's so much less bad than Platner's story for why he got this skull, even if we take it at face value, which again, it's a Nazi tattoo. He knew it was a Nazi tattoo. We know that. It's so insane. It's so fucking insane that these people are so willing to forgive American mass murderers. The only way that these people can forgive them is if they consider their victims less than human and they consider Americans better. So here's a resurfaced post that supports what I said here. A deleted post by Graham Platner. This is from 2014. In a discussion about a potential American invasion of Syria, Platner posted saying, "We are going to kill thousands. By the end of it, it may be millions. Our way of life is better. And if that is what it takes to prevail, let's get this show on the road." He considered these people subhumans worthy of death. He considered himself superior to them. That's why he joined the military. That's why he relished so much in killing them. And he did relish in killing them. Trust me. Oh my God, this guy talks so much about how much he loved combat, how much he loved fighting and killing Iraqis defending their own country. This guy was a prison guard at Abu Ghraib. In an interview just a month ago with The New Yorker, Platner talked about how he was a prison guard at the notorious Abu Ghraib torture concentration camp, where random Iraqis were taken to be tortured. Here's how Platner talks about this. While he was on patrol at Abu Ghraib, there was an attack on the prison. So that was Iraqis trying to liberate their brethren from a fucking literal torture camp that this motherfucker was guarding. Let's see how the supposedly regretful, reformed, redeemed Graham Platner talks about this. That was my first real taste of combat. I loved infantry combat. It was like this kind of high-stakes game where everything you do matters and you need to make decisions under immense amounts of stress that are going to impact both your life, but more importantly, the lives of your men. What the fuck? People have been lying for this guy so fucking much. So many supposed anti-imperialist leftists just keep lying for this guy. They tried to frame him like a repentant murderer who regrets what he did. He brags about it constantly and he fantasizes about doing it more. The way that they are going to bat for him is insane and disgusting. So Ryan Grimm, journalist formerly of The Intercept, I believe, who likes to pretend to be like an anti-imperialist firebrand, he's been going so hard for Graham Platner, it's insane. So Crystal Ball, another supposed American anti-imperialist left-wing political commentator, posted saying, "For me personally, I'll take a candidate with a regrettable tattoo over one who has steadfastly supported genocide." Firstly, the reason why Graham Platner has that skull tattoo is because he thinks it's a representation of what he did to the Iraqi people. He doesn't just support genocide, he did it and he's proud of it. He brags about it daily. Ryan Grimm's reaction to this is to say, not to overstate it, but this is a crucial moment for the Democratic Party. If they decide that normal people with some skeletons in their closet or ink on their chest are not welcome, they are finished. Normal people? This guy is a mass murdering psychopath who is totally unrepentant about what he did and brags about it to this fucking day. What are you talking about? Some skeletons in that closet? He has literal skeletons. The skeletons of Iraqis, of Iraqi children. What an unfortunate turn of phrase for you to use here. And just to be clear here, Ryan Grimm, he doesn't see joining the US military and massacring brown people as bad at all. He thinks it's good. He thinks it's fine. Because Platner made a hilariously disgusting post regarding this. He said, "If they thought that any of this would stop us or deter us, they clearly don't understand our movement, and they clearly don't understand Marines." This guy, who's supposed to be regretful, he's never expressed an ounce of regret about what he did, and he constantly brags about it and talks about how much he liked it, by the way. He's invoking his status as a Marine. The Marines are like one of the most notorious terrorist organizations in world history, you know. They are even worse than the rest of the American military, and this guy constantly invokes him being a former Marine, like it gives him credit. Ryan Grimm, a left-wing anti-imperialist, sees that and retweets it. He's like, "Yep, they don't understand Marines, Graham. Marines are fucking great and awesome. You know, we loved it when they when they massacred thousands of Iraqis with chemical weapons in Fallujah. That was great. when they went door to door shooting children in the head in Hadifa, 25 kids murdered by the US Marines. That was great. They clearly don't understand Marines, do they, Ryan? Ryan Grimm? So it's difficult to see how these people can react in this way to someone like Graham Platner, how they can be so defensive of him, how they can invent some phantom redemption story that doesn't exist, how they can frame him as an anti-imperialist when he's clearly not, how they can run so much cover for him unless they simply see his victims as less than human. I actually emailed Ryan Grimm because I'm making a main channel video of this and I want a comment from him. I'm making a main channel video. It's going to be called The American Supremacist Left, and he's going to be a prime example of this. I emailed him and I asked him, hey, I said straight up, I'm going to be using you as an example of an American supremacist who considers the victims of American imperialism to be less than human. And the way that you are apologizing for Graham Platner, an unrepentant American imperialist mass murderer, is going to be used as a good example of this. Do you have any comment on this? And Grimm's response to me was, no. Platner has said he is now opposed to American imperialism and sees it for the destructive force that it is. Now, that's just a lie. That never happened. That's never happened. He's never said that before. He brags about his participation in it constantly. He's not against imperialism at all. I've been over this a million fucking times before, and I hate having to do it over and over and over and over again because these motherfuckers don't listen, because ultimately they don't care. They don't care about this. What they care about is this guy is offering treats for Americans. He's offering better welfare for Americans, healthcare for Americans. That's what they care about. They will forgive anything, as long as they get their treats. If Graham Platner had killed an American, that would be a bar they could not possibly allow. But he killed all Afghans and Iraqis, and that's fine for them. I've been over Platner's platform before, but it's representative of huge problems with the American left. He wants to give people more benefits to join the American military. He says he wants to work tirelessly to rebuild the American military. He wants more veterans benefits. He wants better pay for military killers to do what he calls close the recruitment gap. That is, recruit more people to the military. He's not against people joining the military. He's not against the military. He's for it. All of his rationale for being against any American imperialist action, which is a very limited spectrum for him, is he thinks it's a waste of American taxpayer money and American soldier lives. That's his rationale. He doesn't talk about the victims. He doesn't talk about how this is inconscionable crimes against the poorest people of the earth. It's that. It's always that this is a waste. His logic is the same as Nick Fuentes. America first. Nick Fuentes is against American support for Israel or American invasions of other countries on the other side of the world because he thinks they're pointless for Americans. He thinks they're a waste of money. He doesn't think they're wrong on principle. He thinks that they're bad for Americans, and that leaves open the possibility that there could be good imperialism that's good for Americans that he would support. Platner has the exact same ideology. And I suspect that people like Ryan Grimm, KRYSTAL Ball, Hasan Piker, EMMA VIGELAND are much the same. And the reason why it's important to be principled against anti-imperialism on principle, just against it blanket, no matter what, is because otherwise you end up like that. If you leave open the possibility that there could be imperialism that you would support, i.e. if you viewed it as sufficiently beneficial for Americans rather than just a waste of time and resources, then you're not principled against anti-imperialism. And I'm not using principled as a moral marker here, but rather the reason why you do it on principle is because then you're consistent and you're always against it no matter what. Platner's platform, which is on his website, it's right there, is to focus less on imperialist actions like invasions of smaller countries and stuff like that, and focus more on economic and military confrontation with China, doing what he calls closing the shipbuilding gap on his platform. I'm not going to go over it again. I've gone over a million fucking times and I'm making a wider video on this, so I'm not going to reiterate a million fucking times. If you don't know about this, you don't understand what I'm saying, you're just desperate to apologize for this mass murdering killer, and I don't have to educate you. I'm sick of this shit. You will never listen anyway, so just fuck off. At least own it, right? At least own who you are. At least own why you support him. I support him because he wants to give me treats. I don't care about his victims. I don't care about the future victims he wants to create. I want my treats. Say it. Admit it. Stop pretending. EMMA VIGELAND's post on this is the best and clearest example of this that I've ever seen, which can only ever be described as a pure American supremacism, someone who sees non-Americans as less than human. She posted first, how many people get tattoos that they thought looked cool but didn't understand the meaning of? He knew what this meant. We've gone over it. He knew what this meant. And even if we don't take it literally as the Nazi meaning. What it meant to him was, I killed and massacred Iraqis in Fallujah. I murdered these people. I got a skull and crossbones on my chest to represent what I did in Iraq. I consider myself a bringer of death and destruction. That you don't connect these fucking dots with the American military and what it does, even irrespective of the fact that he knew it was a Nazi tattoo and he got it intentionally because it was a Nazi tattoo, you were a disgusting freak. There's no other way to describe you. How many vets took mercenary work for a period because the US doesn't support them? Okay. Let me get this straight. If you're an American, as Vigeland said here, if you're an American, you are a veteran of, like, killing Iraqis, and the US government doesn't, like, literally pay for your entire life, 100% of your life, like it's your parents. That entitles you to join a mercenary company and go back and kill more Iraqis and Afghans for money. Do you genuinely believe that? Do you genuinely think that Americans are so superior and non-Americans are so inferior that because you're too fucking lazy to go to a trade school or apply for a job at Walmart or something, you have like a right to just join a fucking mercenary company and go kill the poorest people in the world? Do you believe that? That's the argument that you're fucking making. Boiled down to its core, that's the argument. She expands upon this in another post too. He addressed his stint at Blackwater in our interview. It's difficult for veterans to integrate back into society and find jobs that fit them. He needed the money, it was for a short period. You get to kill Afghans and Iraqis if you're American and you need money? Are they that dehumanized for you? You fucking freak. You killer, you murderous freak. She says, I find this whole discourse about his background to be pretty elitist, to be honest. Do you know what elitist means? What is more elitist than thinking that you are so superior to others that it is your right to sign up and kill them for pay? What is more elitist than that? Did you ask Afghans and Iraqis if they considered it that elitist to hate this guy for murdering them? Did you ever ask them? Did you ever ask the victims? No. It's another thing with these people. They are Americans. Graham Platner went overseas to murder Afghans and Iraqis for the USA. And they think that the person who decides whether he is redeemed or not is them, not his victims, the people who he killed for. What the fuck? It's like being a murderer. You murder someone and then you get forgiven by your own family and you declare yourself forgiven. It's insane. The logic is crazy. Americans unilaterally get to declare they're killers, absolved of their crimes without any consultation with the victims. Fucking, it's elitist. It's elitist to judge this man because he voluntarily signed up for his 5th tour with the Blackwater Private Military Company. His 5th tour over 20 years, murdering Afghans and Iraqis. It's elitist to judge him for that. Personally, I think what's actually elitist is thinking that because you're American, you should have, like, the entitlement to join a mercenary company and go and kill Afghans and Iraqis for money. That's pretty fucking elitist. She frames him as the victim. She frames American military killers as the victims. Do we want an authentic working class party or not? Firstly, Graham Platner is not working class at all. Okay, I'll say this anyway, but I think it's besides the point. But Graham Platner's grandfather was a millionaire architect, an extremely famous architect. Graham Platner's mother owned a restaurant. Graham Platner's father is a lawyer who had his own law firm. He's from the bourgeoisie. He's bourgeois. He comes from a bourgeois family, went to 2 private schools. He joined the military, as most people in the American military do. This is proven in research, though it's besides the point again. I'll get to that in a second. Look, fuck it. This is besides the point anyway. I can't find the article right now, but it's been proven by research that the characteristics of the average American military recruit, it's someone who has above average income, not someone who's poor. The idea of the poverty draft is a lie. Not that it would be okay anyway, because just because you're in poverty doesn't mean you get to sign up to go and fucking massacre people. You want free college? You have to go and massacre people? That's not how this fucking works. You aren't so superior and Afghans and Iraqis so inferior that killing them is something that you do to get ahead in life rather than getting a job at Walmart or McDonald's. Fuck you. I've been poor. I've had fucking periods of my life where I didn't have enough money to buy fucking food for 2 weeks. I never thought about going to kill people. It's not normal to do that. And that you excuse it and you try to normalize it with arguments like these is disgusting. But it's besides the point. Anyway, because my point here is that even if, as she says, Graham Platner was working class, which he's not, because you're an American working class person, you don't get to join the military and go and murder people on the other side of the world who are a million times more impoverished and more disadvantaged than you will ever be. What are you saying? Do you think the Afghans and Iraqis he killed were not working class? They're more working class than he'll ever be, than his comrades will ever be, than anyone in the American military will ever be. Like, if you want an authentic working class party, you have to accept people who kill working class people? What? These people do not have an internationalist conception of anything. They consider themselves superior. They are American supremacists, American chauvinists. Like, she's talking about the Democratic Party here too, by the way. Like, do we want an authentic working class party or not? This is an American political commentator. She's considered an authority on politics, and she's arguing here that the Democratic Party could ever be working class, even for Americans. Aside from that, like, everything about the argument is just so dehumanizing of non-Americans. It's like Americans think it's normal and acceptable to go and kill people in the third world. Ergo, we should also think that's normal and acceptable. No. What you should do is change that. You should change that perception. You should shame people who are in the military. You should shame people from joining it. You should discourage them from joining it. And you should encourage people who are already in there to leave. And if they don't, you should mock them, relentlessly shit on them, anything. It should be stigmatized. The less people who join, the better. Because they're fucking murderers. That's what they do. They murder for pay. It's the whole point. If you're on the left, anti-imperialist, as you people claim to be, you fight the status quo. You don't normalize it by saying, this is normal. We have to support this guy because what he did is normal. If what Graham Platner is normal, then your role is to change what normal is. Because this is fucking unacceptable. If you're willing to accept a normalcy, that is, as Americans, we're superior to the point that we can join the military and go kill people, and we're blameless for doing that, no matter what, no matter how much we relish in it, as Platner does. Your job is to change that, not accept it and normalize it as you do here. And the only way that you can accept it and normalize it is because you consider Americans superior, because you are a racist, genocidal freak. Platner revels in what he did. I've shown that a million times over. None of these people listen. They lie, and they say that he's regretful. The profile of like a regretful American veteran is like a guy who went to Iraq once, and when he was there, he's like, man, this is fucked up. What am I doing to these people? And he's like, man, I regret what I did. The people of Iraq were the primary victims. You shouldn't join the military. Fuck the military. I'm not going to brag about what I did. What I did was horrible. Graham Platner is the exact fucking opposite of that. He's not regretful. He went back 5 times and he talks about how much he enjoyed it. Graham Platner loved his time in the military so much that he fucking fantasizes about participating in yet more American military atrocities, even historical American military atrocities. So this is a post that Graham Platner made just 4 years ago in 2021. The question was asked, which American wars would you have volunteered to fight in? Platner responds, the Indian War. He would have volunteered to participate in the Native American genocide. The Philippines, that's the American colonial occupation and genocide of the Philippines. Haiti, literal, the 1920s American invasion occupation of Haiti. Nicaragua, again, same thing. The US invaded and occupied Nicaragua and installed its own government. Vietnam, Nicaragua, and El Salvador again in the 80s. As for would have, I did for Iraq and would love to get to the gun. And then he did. He went there with Blackwater. Small wars are pretty enjoyable. It's the big ones with days of artillery fire and inhuman brutality that take all the fun out of fighting. But small wars, and Iraq and Afghanistan are indeed small wars, provide the rush of small combat actions along with the intellectual challenge of building personal relationships and infrastructure with the local community. Small wars are thinking wars, which I much prefer over the bloody slugfest of great power conventional warfare. This guy loved what he did in Iraq and Afghanistan. This guy enjoyed it, and he talks about how much he enjoyed it. Ryan Grimm, EMMA VIGELAND, KRYSTAL BALL HASAN PIKER frame this guy as regretful. Frame him as like a born-again anti-imperialist who sees the light and sees that what he did was wrong. There's no evidence of that, and you should ask why they are so willing to lie about that. I'll tell you why. They don't see the victims of American killers like Graham Platner as human. That's why. That's the only reason. They think that Americans are above all. There's a hierarchy of humanity and Americans are above all. Why do they oppose like the Gaza genocide, for example? Because they think it's a waste of American taxpayer money. That's why. They disagree on imperial strategy. They don't actually think the imperialism itself is bad. They don't think those who committed it are bad. Why do they think Israeli soldiers are bad? Because the Israeli soldiers aren't Americans. Why do they think Zionism is bad? Because it's not for themselves. It's for Israeli Jews. If they fought, it benefited Americans, they'd be for it. That's how they operate. So why do they support Graham Platner? Well, his crimes can be forgiven. His victims weren't Americans. He's an American who committed crimes against non-Americans. They're less human. Americans are so superior that they should just be allowed to sign up for the military, go and massacre people and not regret it at all and brag about it even. And then if you judge them for that, these people will scold you. They'll scold you. They will act like you're victimizing a poor innocent child by judging him for mass murdering brown people. And 2, Graham Platner is running on a platform of benefits for Americans, healthcare for Americans, more welfare for Americans, better wages for American military service people, as they call them. They're terrorists, but whatever. And that trumps all. That trumps everything. Nothing else matters. Doesn't matter how many Afghans and Iraqis he killed and raped. All that matters is that he's getting treats for Americans. And Americans are superior. If Graham Platner had killed an American, had murdered an American, was even accused of murdering an American, they would be against him even if he had a platform that benefited them. But because he killed Afghans and Iraqis, they have no problem getting behind him. That's the crux of it. I used this example last week, but Hasan Piker's friend, Lowell Overruled, was outed for sexually harassing American women, or I assume mostly American women, in DMs. Hasan Piker immediately ostracized this guy from his community and his friendship and doesn't talk to him anymore. Graham Platner massacred Iraqis and Afghans, occupied their country, brutalized them for the empire, enthusiastically, on 5 tours, once for the Blackwater Mercenary Company, brags about it to this day, talks about how much he enjoyed it. He got a skull tattoo on his chest, a Nazi skull tattoo on his chest, to represent what he did to those people. Had it for 20 years until literally 2 days ago when he finally got it covered up just because the media found out about it. But that's acceptable because his victims weren't American. His victims were poor, the wretched of the earth, far away, subhumans for these people. Easy to forget about, easy to discount, easy to not care about. They weren't Americans. They weren't part of the master nationality, of the master race. They were bumps in the road, unimportant, doesn't matter. These people never get to say Trump's a rapist, Trump's a pedophile, you voted for a pedophile, ever again. Because the fact of the matter is, they would gladly vote for a pedophile if his victims weren't American. They'll vote for the most heinous criminals you could ever imagine, provided the victims weren't American. They won't just vote for them. They won't just quietly vote for them in private, right? They'll demand you vote for them too. They'll support them. That's what these people are doing with Platner. We're not even talking about should this guy just be allowed to live in peace? Should he be allowed to reintegrate into society? I'd say fucking no, because he's not regretful at all. He hasn't restituted his victims at all. He hasn't engaged in a process of restoration of his victims at all. He's done nothing. He hasn't even acknowledged that what he did was wrong. He should be in fucking prison. But suspending disbelief for a second here, we're not just talking about should this guy be allowed to live his life anonymously in peace? We're talking about, should he be a political leader? He's running for US Senate. He's trying to be a left-wing political referent, a left-wing political leader, a left-wing, one of the leaders of the progressive movement in the US. You don't see a problem with that? You don't see a difference? There's a difference between this guy committed some crimes, he served his time, leave him be, let him live his life. And this guy committed crimes, never even acknowledged that what he did was wrong, and now we all need to support him when he's running for political office, when he's putting himself out there as a leader, when he's trying to make himself our representative. That's insane. And they're all demanding that you need to support him or they'll scold you for it. Fucking Christ. Deleted Reddit posts by Platner show him posting combat footage that he took and kept when he was guarding the Abu Ghraib prison. He posted to the combat footage subreddit footage from his body cam from April 2nd, 2005, when Abu Ghraib was attacked by Iraqi resistance fighters trying to liberate their friends who were being tortured there. If someone was repentant for what they did, do you think they would save combat footage from their time defending a concentration camp and then upload it to Reddit 16 years later? Do you think that is the behavior of someone who's regretful of their crimes, who understands the harm they cause, and who is deeply seeking forgiveness from his victims? I don't. Imagine an IDF soldier who keeps footage of them fighting desperate resistance fighters in Gaza during the genocide. You would understand that as bad. In this case, though, you're all forgiveness because he's American. He's like you. That makes it okay. The only thing separating these people from Zionists is that Zionism is for Israeli Jews, because their mentality is the same as Zionists. If it's good for us, we will do anything to defend it, no matter who else it harms. As long as those harmed are not part of our in-group, we will defend it no matter what. These people are the same exact mentality as liberal Zionists. You talk to a liberal Zionist and they're like, yes, it's terrible what we do to the Palestinians, it's terrible, I agree, but ultimately, what can you do, right? And then you say to them, well, don't you think IDF soldiers who murder the Palestinians are bad? And they're like, what? No, but in our society, it's considered normal to join the IDF. You can't just demand that we denounce that. That's crazy. That's them. That's them. But for Americans, it's the same mentality. They're the same people. So there is a clear problem on the American supposed anti-imperialist left, which is that they are not anti-imperialist at all. Left. I mean, that term's meaningless anyway. I'll give them that. I don't really care about people using that term incorrectly at this point. They clearly think that Americans have like a divine right to kill non-Americans, especially the poorest people on earth, and especially if they're non-white, as long as they benefit from it. And they can especially overlook that if the people who did that now advocate for benefits for Americans. Like, as Americans, you are in a position to do the most against imperialism, way more than anyone else can do. The most that other people can do is really to fight imperialism in their own countries. But, even if they succeed in doing that, it'll be gone from their country, but the problem's still there. The problem's in the hive, in the US, in the center. It still exists. But Americans can fight it from within. And yet, those who pertain to be fighting imperialism from within, what are they doing? They're explaining to you that actually joining the US military and killing people is fine as long as you'll get something out of it. It's fine as long as you'll get treats out of it. It's fine as long as you benefit from it. Ultimately, the sad reality here is that to a not insignificant portion of the American supposed left wing, the victims of American imperialism, of American military crimes, merit as much consideration now as they did when people like Graham Platner pointed his weapon at them and pulled the trigger. None. And if you're American, you need to fight these people. You need to fight against these people. You need to get rid of them because they're trying to change what left means. They're trying to change what anti-imperialist means to the point that it's not left and it's not anti-imperialist at all. They don't want to be principled. They want to get rid of the principles and they just want to completely change what these things mean. They are serving the status quo here in the most blatant way possible. And if they succeed, then you might as well just give up on yourselves entirely. Because if everyone fought like Hasan Piker, EMMA VIGELAND, Ryan Grimm, and KRYSTAL Ball did, then my God, you live in a Nazi state at that point, and every single person would be in agreement regarding it. I first noticed this tendency among the supposed American left like 5 or 6 years ago, and I made a meme about it, which still applies just as much today as it did back then, even more so actually, given this discourse now. We shouldn't judge them for this, drone striking us. They just wanted to escape poverty. I understand, it makes it fine that they killed our family. This is what Americans actually believe. They really fucking do. And many of them prove it time and time again. I want to note here as well that everything that I'm saying here is also kind of irrelevant anyway. Because even if Graham Platner wasn't an American military mass killer, even without that background, even without the Nazi tattoo, he'd just be another AOC. The point of people like AOC, Platner, etc., lab fucking grown, based guy, working class as folks, he was an oyster farmer. Don't talk about the private schools or the rich parents or the incredibly famous millionaire grandpa. The point of this, he's made by consultancy firms. He's created by consultancy firms. And his ultimate goal, their ultimate goal, is to be tools for the Democrats. The point of people like AOC, Bernie Sanders, him, and Zoran Mandani in the future as well is going to be like this, obviously. They're all made by consultancy firms. They're all made by DC think tanks. That the point of them is to convince you don't need to work outside the party. You don't need to take any more radical action. You don't need to do anything of potential to change anything for real that could inconvenience the two-party system, because you already have your AOC, you have your Sanders in the party. They're advocating on your behalf already. They're advocating against imperialism. I mean, they're obviously not, but they like to pretend they are. They're advocating for healthcare for you. Have they ever done anything that even got you remotely close to having it? That's the point of these people. Even in spite of all this other stuff, they're there to mislead you, and you buy it every fucking time. I don't believe these people buy it at all. I believe that people like Hasan Piker, KRYSTAL Ball, Ryan Grimm, EMMA VIGELAND, the Majority Report, these people are Democratic Party shills, right? That's why Hasan Piker wanted to invite Graham Platner onto his stream. He wanted to raise his profile. These people are tools of the Democrats. They are part and parcel of this strategy of misleading people, of getting them complacent and getting them inactive by convincing them that they already had their representatives within the party, so they don't need to do anything. That's enough about that for now, okay? I'm making a longer, more structured video on how Platner reveals that the American left is just American supremacist. It's going to be called the American supremacist left, and honestly, fuck these people at this point. If there are any Americans among you who are principled, who are against imperialism on principle, who consider non-Americans equal human beings, it's your duty to do the exact opposite of what these people advocate for. It's your duty to actually fight the beast from within, rather than normalize it, as these motherfuckers do. You need to conceive of yourselves as part of the world, not as part of America, as Hasan Piker and these others do primarily.